Hello, welcome to episode 139 of A Stitch in Time. Today is Thursday, April 30th, 2020, the last day of April, if you can believe it. My name's Carol. You can find me over on Ravelry as Knitsnpurls, and I'm coming to you from the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, not too far east of Vancouver. If you are a new viewer, a special hello and welcome to you. Thank you for checking out the podcast. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you for coming by once again to spend some time with me. You will no doubt notice a difference in how this week's episode looks. I am recording it on my computer instead of my camera. I am so sad to say that my camera met its final demise earlier today as I was attempting to record a segment for this episode. Now, I'm not sure if you can actually have more than one demise, but this camera has kind of been like a cat with its 9 lives. I have dropped it repeatedly, broken off bits, and I've been holding the pop-up screen onto it with Scotch tape for months now. And this, unfortunately, this last dropping was the last straw for it. The screen came off completely. It's no longer linked up to the camera at all, so I can't see anything on it, whether to take photos or record or to view photos and recordings. So I had looked into getting it repaired a few months ago, and it just wasn't worth the cost versus what it cost me in the first place. So I suspect a new camera is in my future at some point. I do have some birthday money I haven't spent, so I think that's where it's going to go. But in the meantime, I will hopefully be able to get by with my computer. We'll see how this films. It's going to have to do. But I really do want a new camera. I really prefer to take photos with a camera rather than a phone. So definitely I will be getting one, but probably will wait until we are out of our social isolation period, because it's something I would like to be able to try out in a store rather than just order online. Pardon me, a little froggy. The other thing is, if I look here, it looks like I'm not looking at you. So I have to remember to focus on this little dot on the top of my screen. So forgive me if I default to going back to looking at myself, which is how I'm used to recording things. And that way I can actually see what's on the screen instead of just a little peripheral vision shot. Anyway, I have lots of knitting to share with you this week. I have finished 3 projects, and I think I have 3 more to talk about. Yes, I do. So let's jump into it then, shall we? Well, let's talk about the obvious one. I am wearing my Color Shifting Shawl by Jennifer Fish. It is a Knit Picks pattern, and I've knit it from Knit Picks yarn. It's called Muse, and there are 5 colors. It is available, I think, as a kit on Knit Picks, or you can just put together your own colors. They were out of one of the 5 colors that they used in their original one, and so I substituted one. So I'm actually going to take it off anyway because it's very warm, but I did want to wear it to start out with. And I will show it to you from tip to tip and tell you what colors are. So this first color is like a teal blue. That is, let me find my notes here. That's Savvy. And then it shifts into Untamed, which goes into, I think this is my favorite one. This is Impulse. And the purple is Poetic. Then you go back to the main color, the first color, so that's Savvy again. And then I've ended mine with Elation because the suggested color wasn't available. And so you can see that these two, let's see if I can hold them up side by side. You can see they're similar, but they're different. One's got a little bit cooler colors. That one's a little warmer. Anyway, I love how it turned out. See if I can hold it up and get most of it in screen. Yeah, not quite, but this is one of my favorite shapes for a shawl because I really like this asymmetrical triangle. It's a nice one to wear as a scarf, which is how I wear my sort of one skein shawls. And I love the colors in here. Just to me, it looks like sort of watercolor shades. It is a yarn. It's a fingering weight. I think it's either 75 superwash merino nylon or 80/20, and it's dyed in Japan. I'm not sure why that's significant, but they do mention it on the website, so, or in their catalog or something. That's where I first saw this yarn. I have loads left over. I think the most I used was, I think it was this color, and I think it was 28 grams, and I think I used 25 of this one. It's all on my project page. Anyway, basically it's the size of a one skein shawl, and perfect size for me. I really like it. So yeah, very, very, very happy with how this turned out. But yes, it's definitely too warm. We woke up to pouring rain this morning, and I kind of put off going for a walk. Timed it really well because by the time I went out, the sun was shining. I had to wear sunglasses. It was not like shining really brightly, and even now it's not. It's mostly overcast, but some sun poking through. But it's definitely warmed up as the day has gone on. And just wearing a wool scarf around my neck is not recommended. Another project that I'm really happy to share with you is my what I'm calling my spring robin socks. So this is yarn from West Yorkshire Spinners. It's their signature 4-ply, and the main sock is in color 941, which is robin or Christmas robin they call it, and then the complementary heels, cuffs and toes is 510 cayenne pepper. And I was able to basically used half a skein of the robin colorway, so I have plenty to knit another pair of socks out of it. And I think I might have said last week, I think this is one of my favorite West Yorkshire Spinners bird colorways. Maybe I said that to somebody online. I can't remember. But in any case, it's true. I really like this colorway. And we've been seeing the robins quite a bit now. Our American robin is actually a thrush, and it's different than the British robin, which is what all of these yarns are all modeled after British birds, but they are similar, and I just love, we always hear them sometimes in the morning, but almost always in the evening, chirping away as the day ends, and I love that sound. It's one of my favorite spring and summer sounds. So details, it's a 64 stitch sock, top down 2x2 rib. I did a traditional heel flap and gusset, and I think it's called a rounded toe. 2mm needle, that's what I use for most of my 64 stitch socks. So yeah, just very pleased to have got those done. Now I get to wear them just as the weather is warming up, but I still wear socks every day, wool socks. Sometimes I end up taking them off later in the afternoon, but for now I could wear them for a while. So anyway, there's project number 2. And last week I told you that I had finished the knitting of my Stratosphere sweater, and I put in a little clip of it blocking, and I put off sewing it together until Tuesday, and then I tackled it. And as I expected, it was rather tedious because I wanted it to be just right. And I'd never sewn anything quite like this together before, so it definitely was a lesson in patience, but it did pay off. I'm happy with how the seaming turned out. And as you will see from this pre-recorded clip here, I wasn't sure about it when I first finished and tried it on, but I'm happy to say that after a day or two of it draped over the back of my computer chair as suggested to let gravity do its work, and the I guess the biasing to kind of relax, and so that there's more drape. I am a lot happier with it now. So I am going to pop that little segment in right here, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so here is my finished Stratosphere by Sandra McGyver. It is from this book called Knitsnpurls. It is knit from 15 skeins of Noro Silk Garden in color 337, and that's exactly the amount that my size called for. I knit the size small. Now these and the other swirl sweaters in this book are knit in a really interesting way. So you basically cast on a huge octagon, and that forms the perimeter. It starts at the back of the collar, works all the way around, becomes your back hem. So you gradually decrease in 8 areas from the outer edge in, till you kind of get, I would say, sort of waist height or mid back. Then you start knitting back and forth, working your way up the back. You gradually increase and then cast on for the sleeves, and then you knit them from side to side. So you're knitting the whole width from cuff to cuff. And then once your sleeve is wide enough, you then basically reverse those increases, begin decreasing. And then when you're done, you end up with something that looks kind of like this. So when you seam it together, you seam your sleeve seams, and then this is the back collar, and you seam that to the back of your neck, and then these pieces kind of get inserted into the fronts. I will show you on here. So you can see there is a seam right in here. Right in there, goes down to the sleeve, and then it's also kind of here in the back neck. I have to be honest with you, when I first finished this sweater, I gave the seams a little bit of a steam and tried it on, and I was not sure about this sweater at all. It seemed like a lot of sweater, and I thought I would never be able to wear it open because it just seemed huge, like it was falling off me. Now the designer recommends that you either put it on a dress form or hang it on the back of an upholstered chair for a couple of days and let gravity do its work. And I have to say that really did make a difference in how it is draping. As you can see, it does hang fine open now. Now I'm just going to show you a couple of pictures. First one, this is how it's supposed to look in the back. And I'll let you be the judge if that's how it looks, because I can't see myself in the back. Now the photos, from the front, they all show it closed or being held closed like this. And so that's kind of how I tried it out at first. So I have several, can't go around holding your sweater closed all the time. I have a couple of different things. I have a shawl pin like this. I have just a wooden one, and then I do have kind of a brooch like that. And so I thought any one of these could work as a way to secure it. So I think for ease right now, I'll just put this in and then kind of give you a look of it from all sides. Now it does have quite a cuff on it, but that's written into the pattern. So I have to say, when I see it now, especially from a distance on screen, and like I say, now it's had a chance to kind of drape, I'm much happier with it than I was the other day. What you can't see is I've got like a pair of skinny jeans and boots on, and I figure obviously it's a very warm sweater. That's probably how I would style it, or maybe just a regular pair of jeans with a different shoe. Now, one thing the book shows is that you could wear it upside down. You can turn it upside down and have a really big collar and a shorter jacket. Now, I'm going to do that for you right now, because when I tried this the other day, right after I'd finished it, I thought I will never wear it this way. So let's find out how it looks now that it's had a chance to drape. So this is a definite experiment. I gotta figure out which way is the right way. Okay, so what it means is that your sleeve seam is going to actually run up the top of your arm rather than at the inside of it. And I know the other day it just felt like the sleeves were way too long and it seemed way too big. So let's see if time and draping has changed that at all. So let's see, she's got it pinned up here. Let's see here. Well, I have this funny thing going on. Well, here, let's pin it first, and then we'll analyze it. So on this side, anyway, I've got this weird kind of bulky thing going on under my arms. Yeah, I don't ever see myself wearing it like this. I definitely think it fits and looks better the other direction. But you gotta try it, right? So let's just switch that around again. As you might imagine, this is very warm, and of course it doesn't help that I'm inside on a spring day in a turtleneck and this heavy sweater. So it's very warm. It's more of a coat, as you can see, than a sweater, really. I think you could also, just looking at it, I could even probably, no, it's probably better over here. I was gonna say I could pin it up here, which I guess I could. Maybe put like a brooch center front. If I can get the clasp in, that is. Yeah, actually that doesn't look too bad either. So, as I say, when I first put it on, I thought there was a lot of fabric in here and at the back, but then when I look at the photos in the book, you can see that it has that ease there too. So it's not, that's how it's meant to be. So definitely leaving it for a couple of days and not even looking at it again till now has made me like it more. And I think it is just such a cool way to knit a sweater. The ingenuity that went into designing this is incredible. It was fun to knit. I had a lot of fun seeing the different colors come up in the stripes. It is knit with a series of welts, so alternating between reverse stocking stitch and stocking stitch. So the whole thing is made up with those welts. So yeah, don't know what else more to say about it, except that it's taken me, I believe, 9 years, almost 9 years to finish, after having it been in hibernation for quite a long time. So all in all, I'm actually really pleased with how it came out, and I'm glad to be able to say that, because I was kind of dreading showing it to you, because I was not happy with it when I first finished seaming it. And so I'm delighted to be able to say that I really do like it, and I look forward to wearing it when the weather cools down again in the fall and winter. Okay, so welcome back. Now let's talk about works in progress. I have 3, as I think I already mentioned. The first is the Ambient Socks by Helen Stewart. It is the second pattern in the Handmade Sock Society 2. I decided to skip past sock number 1 for the time being, because I was really excited to knit with this yarn and do this sock. So the yarn I am using is from Midnight Cravings. Whoops, this is going to take a little doing to figure out where to hold this. Midnight Cravings Yarn Company, the City of Bridges colorway. And then I'm doing the heels and toes in Afternoon Tea. So I just love the colors in here. I love the speckles. And I'm really happy with how sock number 1 knit up. It's very similar looking to the yarn that Helen used for her own socks, which I think is why as soon as I saw the pattern, I knew I wanted to use this yarn. So you can see it's a 1x1 twisted rib cuff. There's a lace pattern down the front, a textured pattern at the back, and then an Eye of Partridge heel in a complementary or contrasting color, and then a rounded toe. So knit up pretty quickly. The pattern, I kind of had to keep an eye on the chart, but it was pretty simple, especially once I finished the back. Going down the foot, by then I'd memorized this lace pattern. So they knit up pretty quickly once I hit that point. So I've got that done, and then I did cast on the second sock, and I've done the ribbing and 1 pattern repeat. So that's the back. There's the front. So definitely loving how these are knitting up. It's everything I had hoped it would be, and I mean, who doesn't wish they can say about that about their knitting, right? Looking for a place to put this as the knitting builds up around me. Maybe the next one I'll show you is my new pair of socks. Because I cast off the Robin socks, then I needed another pair of plain stockinette socks. So I am knitting those from this yarn, which is from Hibernating Dye Works in the It's Wine O'Clock Somewhere colorway. Whoops, there. It's gonna take a little getting used to. I am not positive, but I think this might have been part of her, I think she called it her happy hour yarn club. In any case, I'm calling these my happy hour socks because I cast them on during one happy hour, and I have been sometimes knitting on them during happy hour since then. So I am assuming that these colors are meant to represent different types of wine. This is, not sure if you can pick this up on camera. When I first saw it, I thought this was just sort of a creamy color, but it's actually like kind of like a really pale pink, kind of, I guess, like a champagne color is my guess. And then of course like gold of white wine, and then a couple different kinds of red wine. I personally prefer white and rosé. I very, very seldom drink red wine, but I don't care. I just love the colors and I like the sentiment. Yeah, happy with that. And I'm actually knitting them both at the same time. So I do have a second one cast on and it is up more or less to the same point as this one. So I will knit those concurrently as I did my robin socks. I like being able to get to the end and you have a pair. It's a good feeling, and that way you can also make sure your stripes match up and your heel flaps and all that. I just find it easier on self-striping socks to do that, and that's usually what I do. And so my final work in progress, I have another project that I took out of hibernation, and I forgot to look before I recorded just how long ago I started this project. But it is from a yarn club. I was part of a lace club called, it was done through Abstract Fiber, which is a hand dyeing yarn company out of Portland, Oregon. And so this is Arashi by Sarah Morris. And it is knit from a lace weight, I think it's alpaca and silk. Yeah, 70% alpaca, 30% silk. There's the label. So it's Lima is the name of the yarn, and it is in the hibiscus colorway, which is this beautiful pinky red color. What I see, it's blown out a little bit, but it's tone it down a little. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous color. Now, I have a feeling I might have put it away in part because once you get past this part and start working here, which is where I was working recently, it's not very it is not intuitive. It's different every row, and you really have to pay attention. Now that I'm past here, I have a sort of this section to do, which is a little bit more predictable, and then I move into this type again here. So I think that's partly why it got put away. I honestly don't remember, but I have been enjoying working on it. I have to do it when I'm able to concentrate. I probably should have put on a bigger needle. I think it's just on a 24-inch Sigma. Yeah, I think it might be just on a 24-inch or 60-centimeter circular needle. So I can't spread it out that well, but I'll try. So it's like a Faroese style. So you can see that's the center motif. And then there's the beginning. And then I've moved. Let's see if I can spread this out a bit. Moved into that section there. Can never show lace very well when it's on the needles and before blocking. Anyway, it's coming along. I'm not exactly sure percentage wise. I didn't weigh it or anything, so I'm not sure how far along I am. I do know, I guess if you look at it in terms of sort of the length of the shawl, as I said, I'm at this point now here. So getting on. It's coming along. And I'll be good to have another one from my long time hibernating projects to be able to say it is, done. My basket's getting less and less full, and that's a good feeling. I have not included a what I'm reading section for a long time because I've mostly just been continuing to work my way through my Agatha Christie collection, so it's not that exciting to talk about week after week. But this week I did read a new book called Above the Bay of Angels by Rhys Bowen. I had pre-ordered it on my Kindle and then forgotten about it, and then my husband and I share a Kindle account, so he had seen it on pop up and was wondering what it was, and he read it, and that kind of twigged my memory. Oh yeah, I had pre-ordered this. Rhys Bowen, you've heard me talk about her before. She has the Royal Spyness mystery series and the Molly Murphy mystery series. And I've listened to those mainly on audiobook. But she has recently sort of branched out into writing some other type of fiction. A lot of it centered around the First and Second World War. This book is set in the late 19th century. Pardon me, the main character is a young woman who, after her mother died and her father sort of declined into alcoholism, she was forced to become, they'd been well brought up, and she was forced to become a servant to provide for her father and her younger sister, and then worked her way up to being an assistant cook. And she takes a chance opportunity that kind of falls in her lap, and she becomes a cook in Queen Victoria's household. And then the story unfolds from there. So it's light fiction, as my brother-in-law calls it, popcorn for the mind. And there's nothing wrong with that sometimes. And I quite enjoyed reading this book. If you're looking for something light, kind of romantic, highly unlikely at times, I'd recommend it. I really did enjoy it, and it was one that was almost over too soon. So that's always I think a good thing to say about a book. If you can say it's over too soon, it means you're reluctant to see it come to an end. I'm just gonna flip my notes over. You'll probably see it pop up on the screen. Just my notebook is sitting in front of me. So just trying to see what I wrote down here for notes. Once again, there has not been a lot going on here this week. Like all of you or most of you, I am still mainly isolating at home. Gone out very little other than for walks in the past few weeks. Happy to say that British Columbia's numbers continue to improve, and I know next week the government is going to start talking about plans to relax the restrictions that have been in place. We are still very much going to have to practice social and physical distancing because they do want to avoid, of course, another flare-up of the COVID-19, but looks like in the relatively near future, in the next few weeks, I think we're going to see a little bit of easing of restrictions. There is sadly one nursing home here in Chilliwack that has, from what I understand, one resident that has come down with COVID-19. Other than that, I'm not really sure how prevalent it is in the community. Haven't really heard. You just sort of treat everybody like they have it and act like you have it, and just avoid being close to other people as much as possible. Speaking of, most people are very good. I've been going out for walks most days for the last week or so, and people are very good about giving you your space. But I was really ticked a few days ago. There was a young woman running, and I was on the right hand side of the sidewalk. She was on the left on my left, but next to the road, and she could very easily have stepped down into the street to go past me. And I stepped onto the grass that was beside me, but there was a wall right there, so I couldn't go any further than I was. And she just sailed on past. And then I met her again. She'd obviously going faster than I was. She ended up doing the loop faster than I did, and still didn't even make any attempt to put any distance between us. And again, I was in a situation where I couldn't move it further over. But most people, either if they're on the roadside, will make a point of stepping off, as do I if I'm on the curbside, to give people their space. We saw all of our kids and grandkids this past week. I had baked some cookies on Sunday, and they Jessica had recently mentioned this kind of cookie. They're her favorite, or one of her favorites. So I got in touch and asked her if she wanted me to do a drive-by with some. She's like, yes, please. So we went over and sat in their backyard, and a good distance apart, and had a nice visit with them. And prior to that, Friday night, our older son and his fiance came and had happy hour with us. Again, we sat outside, safe distance apart. And then we've seen our younger son too. He cuts our grass during the spring and summer, and so he usually stays for a little visit after he does that. So it's good. As I said to Jessica, it's balm for the soul. You don't realize just how much you miss that social contact until you have it again. Most days I'm fine here on my own. I'm used to it. Cameron works outside the home. I no longer do. And so I'm used to spending a lot of time on my own, but he's worked a lot of hours. He's worked a lot lately because of the whole pandemic. They're short staffed. He ends up he's worked some days where he normally would be off, and he's also just worked longer hours, so you get a little lonely. So it actually yesterday he got off a little earlier than normal, and it was just such a treat to not be eating dinner quite so late, and to just be able to spend some time together. Last week I mentioned that the goldfinches were back, and I'm happy to say that I saw them for myself, I think a couple of days after I recorded that episode. I've only seen them the one time, but I was very happy. There was I think a male and a female on the feeder, so yay for goldfinches. And something good this week. A couple of days ago, I got the song The City of New Orleans by Arlo Guthrie stuck in my head. And I finally thought, okay, I have to see if I can find this on iTunes, put it on my iPod. And sure enough, I did. I've probably listened to it at least 10 times since then. It's a great song to walk to, and it just puts a smile on my face. I had actually never really, I knew little bits and pieces of the lyrics, mainly the chorus. I hadn't actually realized it's about a train called The City of New Orleans. Somehow I missed that. It has some wonderful lyrics in it, and every time I listen to it, it just puts a big smile on my face and a spring in my step. So that's my something good for this week. And that's it for everything this week. I thank you, as always, for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, you may wish to like and or subscribe. And hope you're all doing well despite everything that's going on. Continue to stay healthy, please. Take comfort in your crafting. And if you're like me, you've been watching lots of podcasts or other things, and doing a lot of knitting to pass the time. So take care, everyone, and I will, if all goes well, see you again next week.